Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. The hair is getting long, so we threw the bandana up. Hopefully we'll get a haircut soon. But today, we are talking about Salamangrates. I know right now, everybody's down on the Salamangrate stuff so far. Really, if you were going to tell me the three archetypes being supported in the new Duelist pack was Salamangrate, Volcanics, and Battling Boxers, the other two are like, cool, maybe they'll be a deck, right? Because they weren't even like a deck before. But Salads, you were like, oh my god, Salads need so little. And they've whiffed. We've gotten all but one card, and they have whiffed so far. I think the support isn't nothing, just like so far. But I think it's definitely underwhelming relative to where our expectations started at. And that's really the key to this video, because I want to say, let's not give up hope. I think going into it, I viewed this as, I'm not going to expect too much from the support. But as long as one or two of the cards really, really hit and really, really help boost the deck in the areas it needs the most, then I think it's a hit no matter what. And listen, they were going to get 7 cards. I didn't expect all of them to be good. Now, we're 6 cards in, and I'm not super impressed, but still, this is an archetype that only needs one hit. And I think we've had some meh hits, like okay hits here, but not all the way, right? You get the 2 new tuner extenders. They're nice. They open up the deck for a couple of potential synchro plays that could be a thing down the line. But for right now, they just feel like mediocre extenders. They don't really stand out as anything too great at the moment. The new synchro is just poo. It really just rings as poo to me. I don't know. Maybe there's something that like you can break it using it, but it just seems okay. This is the best card to me so far, Raging Phoenix. Now, I don't love that it's a Link 4 that you need to Reincarnation Summon to really make this card worth it, but I do think at the end of the day, it does fulfill a very particular role I talked about prior to the support coming out that the deck needed really bad. It needed a way to get an extra trap card going first, and this really helps with that, so we'll take that. From there, you get to the spell. It needs a little bit too much setup, in my opinion, but I don't think it's a bad card for what it's worth. So I guess it's fine. And then the trap is like, I guess, generic enough to reborn any Fire Engrave, but the deck didn't really need more reborns, so it doesn't really do anything that I felt like we needed to see. So yeah, really underwhelming so far. Like I said, the only card I really like is Raging Phoenix. Not enough. So where do we go from here? I guess it's important to put some context on this. Stating where the slot that we're missing right now is JP001. That means it is the very first card in the set, aside from like the super holographic Salamangrate Heat Leo, but like the first number in the set for the new cards, which means 1, it's a main deck monster, and 2, it's the first card getting revealed here, which could easily mean that it's the most important one as far as the new monsters go. When you scroll down, and this will lead into a point later, the first new card for the new Volcanic cards is Volcanic Emperor, their new boss monster, arguably the most important card from their new support from this wave. And so that leaves me in a good spot here. Because I also believe that a main deck monster is one of the best things the deck could get. If it hits in the right way that we're looking for, it could be the perfect thing that Salamangrates need. So let's look at a couple of reasons why. Some obvious ones are Gazelle. Gazelle dumps any card in the archetype, so if it's a main deck monster and maybe it's something you don't necessarily want to draw, you play one in the deck, something, whatever, or if you just don't see it and you want to see it, Gazelle helps you dump it. The deck is all good and grave. I would assume a new Salamangrate monster would most likely have some good effect in the graveyard, so Gazelle obviously helps get that into rotation. From there, Debug. If it's level 3 or lower, this is a staple normal summon in the deck over the years. It goes in and out depending, some formats Flame Buffalo, some formats Debug, but, it comes in and out of the deck for sure. So that's pretty good. Circle. Searches you any Salamander monster. Not much to say there. Mining. Searches any level 4 or lower. If this monster's level 5 or higher, you just get Gazelle and dump it. Works for me. Get Spinny, get to Mirage Stalio, get access to it. It works for me. Gift is a new card that I talked about, not a new card, but a card I talked about in my video of like under the radar salad cards that could come up. Foolish Burials from deck. That can get you access to it. And lastly, Mirage Stalio, like I said, pulls any main deck salad out of the deck. That's really, really strong. as well. So there are a lot of tools that are going to give us super easy access to a main deck monster, and that's why I think it's one of the best, salad like slots that we could have right now. Maybe you could argue an extra deck monster could be worth more, but I think at this point a main deck monster could be pretty damn good. Lastly, before we get out of here, I think there's 3, I guess I'll throw a 4th one in there. There's 4 main ways I could see this monster hitting, like depending on how the monster is designed. The first one is, and I think this one's a little bit less likely now because of the new Link 4, but kind of just like how I talked in my video, the one thing I think the deck lacks more than anything is speed and power, particularly speed. It doesn't do enough in one turn. All it really does going second is make access code. All it really does going first is usually get access to 1 trap, maybe make a rank 4 via its engine. That's just not good enough, right? So I know we have Phoenix, and Phoenix could help us get an extra trap turn 1, so I could potentially end on both traps more consistently. That could be pretty cool. But again, like, I wouldn't be mad if they just go through and they just say, hey, you know what, give them another monster that says, like, when this card is sent to the graveyard as link material for a Salamangreat monster or a Fire Link monster, whatever, set a Salamangreat Speller Trap card from the deck. So that means you could get obviously any of the traps, but also you could also get something like Will for an extra extender. That's a little bit better going second, right? So that is pretty cool. That would become a really good target for Mirage Stalio, right? Just even if you don't open him, just summon him off of Stalio, get rolling that way. It's not a terrible normal summon. Maybe it means if you play it that way, you don't even need to worry about playing like a generic Cyberse normal summon anymore. You could play more pure that way. That could work. So I think that could be the first way. The second way would be another way that I talked about, and a monster that like says when it's a Salamangreat monster says like when it's sent to graveyard, maybe it's like it needs some kind of requirement. It needs to summon itself maybe to a zone a Salamangreat Link monster points to. Maybe it's like you need to banish a Salamangreat monster from grave or something, but reborn itself and pop a card on the opponent's side of the field. The deck has a lot of ways to actually like low-key play on the opponent's turn. The deck has just never really had a great function for it, really, right? Like you can gazelle on the opponent's turn all the time, and when you do, you just never had a great send for it. You were like, okay, I guess I'll just send a follow-up extender. I don't have a Jack in grave right now. Let me just send Jack. I can use that next turn, right? There's never anything crazy. So if you had a card that could trigger and pop something immediately, Gazelle now becomes like a hand trap on the opponent's turn. That's really cool. Pushing past that point, I showed you the trap Salamangreat Gift. That's a quick effect Foolish Burial on the opponent's turn. And I think the other point too is this type of card would really, really help the deck with playing second. Now Gazelle is a legit threat going second. It's sending a monster that is going to immediately threaten a card on your opponent's side of the field. That's really cool. And you would be able to rotate this card probably just every turn, right? Just keep adding it, summoning it, linking it off, summoning it back, popping a card every single turn. That would be the goal. And I think that would really add a nice layer to the deck that it doesn't have right now. Cool. There's the second one. This third way I could see them making this card cool and work, main deck boss monster. I mean, like I just said with the volcanic stuff, their boss monster is the first slot for them. Could we, like now that Salamangreats have a monster in every form of the extra deck and even rituals, one thing they don't have is a main deck boss monster. Like what if they just got a legit main deck boss monster that's like has a decent extension effect? It's easy enough, right? Banish 1 or 2 Salamangreat cards from grave or something, and then on the field it just has like a decent interruption effect, just like an additional interruption effect. That could be really cool, making it so via the main deck we can access a legit interruptive card, make it a big body, have a decent interruption, maybe a removal effect, something that could actually work pretty nicely as well. And the last thing would be like just an actual hand trap. You already have Ash Blossom in the deck, but being able to like set up a board where you just have like your own, Subterror Fiendess-esque card, and every turn you're just able to add it back. Like you have to open Ash, use Ash, and then be able to rotate it if you don't want anything else off of Sunlight Wolf. But if you actually had a hand trap that like wasn't a terrible card in the deck, that would be so much easier to access and rotate via Sunlight Wolf and other cards as well. So that could be another cool option. I just threw that in there. I thought about that last second. I was like, you know what, that could also work, but you could argue that for almost any deck. Like if they get a legit insane hand trap that isn't like too restricted, it could be really nice. So yeah, that's where I'm at with Salamangrates. Long story short, don't lose hope. This deck only ever needed one really good card, and that still rings true. We have one slot left. It's the first slot of the set, which means it does kind of make me think it could be something really good. I'm still holding on to hope. I hope you guys are too, but let me know your thoughts down below. One, do you agree with me? Do you think it's just done with? If they've messed up all this stuff, are they going to mess up the last slot as well, like they did the Batlin Boxer card? Or maybe is there another way that you think they go about it to still make a main deck monster work that's not one of the 4 main ways that I kind of just listed off to you? Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd love to hear it. I'm going to hold on to hope. This should be getting revealed in the next week or two at the most. And when it does, man, I'm going to be really hyped. I'm going to have my rally cap on, flipped backwards, hoping that they save this support with one banger right at the end. That would be very awesome. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Thank you so much for watching, as always, guys. Like I said, let me know all your thoughts down below. I'm out of here for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Subscribe for more stuff like this from me down the line. Peace.